All right. Well, here comes our panel, and I think a number of them are very well known to the trade. First one I will introduce is Eleazar Cota with Alazan. He was the moderator for this panel last year, and certainly a good resource, and I look forward to his comments. Also, we have Matias Macera with from Argentina, and I'm looking forward to his comments because that market has been growing significantly, and we've got a lot to learn. Navneet is here from Sri Shalia, or the Garbanzo Bean Company. He's also been a previous panelist a number of times and brings a wealth of knowledge about the production in the Indian market and in the region. We have Andac, I don't want to mess this up. Kolukisa, yes. Is that correct? All right, with natural Gida from Turkey. We have Bilal Doni with Doni and Company from Pakistan. And we have Garcia of Alons-Gar in Spain. Each of these guys have I'll say a 100-word max bio in the program, so you can learn a little bit more about them. I do know that it was a little bit of fun to try and get what you wanted to say done in 100 words. All right, so basically with just some fairly generalities, but I think that it sets the stage. We've have planted area this year. The growers have reacted to market conditions, and we're saying across the board in India, Mexico, the U.S., Canada, and Argentina, acres down, and overall between 30 and 35% reduction in Kabuli plantings. We do have an increase in planted hectares in Turkey, driven, I think, mainly by the minimum support price programs and good returns to the grower in that area. The Black Sea will have some commentary on that. What I've been hearing is that, at least in the Russian production area, that acres may be down around 20%, but that they have very, very good spring conditions and nice stands, and we may see that offset with yields. The other thing that I think is kind of sets the stage is that we've seen the historic price structure where we saw some significant premiums for larger sizes. Those spreads have narrowed, and some very aggressive pricing happening on the larger caliber products out of both origins that produce that. Small caliber stocks have built, and some pretty, depends whether you're a buyer or a seller, but I would say traditional, historically low values on those smaller calibers right now, and some aggressive sellers. I'm going to start with India. Navneet changed these numbers on me just a little bit. He sent some numbers to me, so we'll adjust these and it'll be corrected on the website. But we're basically down in planted acres, and this is focused on the Kabuli. It's not discussing the Paniola or the white seeded chickpeas. And so we're estimating acreage down a little over 20%. He's also projecting the yield down a little bit, from what they experienced last season. So we're working with, I think when we got done with our adjustments, instead of the 420, Navneet can address this, but I think we were closer to 400, weren't we? We also moved the carry-in around a little bit, but the main issue is exports down because of basically lack of competition and lack of import licenses for Pakistan, and just the general political climate that we're all working in. We seem to be having a lot of intervention into our market from a number of governmental agencies. So Navneet, if you want to speak to this a little bit, would be great. We'll go back and we'll hit some of his key points, but I'm going to go country by country.
Thank you, JPC. Yes, you see the numbers of last year and this year. You see the planting area is less, yields are less from last year because we have a very historic cold year in the month of November, December, and January. So yields are less. Then the production is also less overall by 33 or 35% more or less. Carry-in is 86,000 tons, we are saying, more or less. It is only, this slide is only for the Kabuli type, which is grown in the Madhya Pradesh area. We have another Sapaniola type varieties, which is grown in Maharashtra and Andhra, for which we have slides, and it should be uploaded on the GPC website, so you can take it from there. Exports, this is the important issue. Last year, in this year, in 2019, we have the least exports since 2012. I mean, in the period of 2012, Feb, March, April, and if we compare, it's the lowest in 2019, since last 7 years. So exports is down because of the Mexico is giving us the competition, and also the situation in Turkey. One interesting point, I mean, Turkey is our main buyer, but in the last 3 months, India only exported 30 to 40 containers in Turkey. In the last, and every year, this time in 3 months, we are exporting around 8 to 10,000 tons. So you see how's the situation of the market. Then domestic, it's little bit increased because the lower calibers is the same or more or less equal price than the Desi chickpeas. More or less the Desi chickpeas is $650 in the local, market price in domestic. So if you are comparing the $950, $900 of Indian 42, 44, which is 1 month before, so it's the small size is equal to the Desi chickpeas prices. So we think that the smaller sizes should be consumed more. Then the seeding, the seeding of the 2020, this is the main turning point of the market where we see how is the seedings will be there. So expecting the total usage and ending stocks, we are assuming that the ending stocks will be less compared to last year. But all the turning point is about the seeding of India. This is the important point we have to consider.
Great, thank you very much. So our next slide is on Mexico, and these are kind of a combination of Eleazar and my numbers. So he may not agree with all of them, but I think they're pretty close. And I'll let him discuss the key points of what's happening in Mexico right now and what he sees going forward.
Hello, everybody. Planted acres, or planted hectares, sorry. Planted hectares, it was 50% lower than last year due to the price. It has been a roller coaster. We came from prices for 2,300 in the last 2 years, 2,000, and now we are getting to a point where we are getting to the cheapest prices in the last 10, 15 years. Production is 53% lower. It's around 145,000 metric tons. Carry-in is one of the biggest in Mexico, 98,000. A lot of that carryover is small sizes. It's small sizes like 50, 52, 52, 54. Small sizes for Mexico. The export, we are getting into the second year with higher exports. In the last 3 months, in March, April, May, we export about 45,000 metric tons. The first country who imported the chickpeas is Spain, the second one, Algeria. Turkey has been very slow. In the last 3 months, they imported about 7,000 metric tons. The ending stock is going to be around 29,000 metric tons. Most of the carryover is going to be a small size and bad quality from the previous years. The bigger caliber of the 243,000, I expected that a small size is going to be 123 and big size is 120. It has been good demand because the price is spread with the 9 millimeters. So people that normally used to buy 9s, now they buy 10. And what people used to buy 10s, now they buy 11. And except for the guys who go into canning or in the jar. Chickpeas is not in the government support, so we expect a big decrease for the next year. In 2020, I'm expecting no more than 75,000 metric tons. So it will get you in 2020 the lowest production in Mexico, except for the year we got a big frost in 2011. Banks will have a restriction to loan money to farmers for chickpeas. They will prefer to secure the money with corn or beans that is in the government support.
Thank you very much, Eleazar. So the next production area that we're going to be talking about is the U.S. And I'm projecting that our planted acres or planted hectares will end up around 182,000. USDA came out with their planting intentions report back in March, and they projected 210,000 hectares. But based on the seed that went out the door, and talking with my colleagues in the industry, I feel that it's down harder than that, particularly lower acres in the North Dakota production area and in eastern Montana. The central part of Montana and Washington, Idaho production areas are down about 40% in those areas. The acreage in California was about its normal production. It's 15,000 acres, so what is that? About 4,000 hectares, I think, or little more than that. Maybe it's 6. There's some production down in Nebraska, and but most of the production is in the Pacific Northwest in Washington, Idaho, and Montana. I am projecting, we will decrease our imports. We've been importing about 50,000 ton a year. Last year, those imports were from Canada, from Argentina, some product from Turkey, and even some Indian product coming in. And now with the U.S. prices more aggressive, we're seeing those imports being reduced. So projecting that we will have around 585,000 tons of product for stocks after harvest. And that's down about 13% from where we were a year ago. I'm saying that we're going to be successful and continue with aggressive pricing to grow our exports. We were about 150,000 tons are what I'm projecting for 2018 through August, and I'm an optimist, I guess. The domestic demand continues to grow in the U.S. That's really the positive that we have. And we've been seeing 8 to 10% growth in the domestic market, and I'm anticipating that'll continue. So total usage around 400,000 tons. The other comments would be the crop went in about 3 weeks late this year, but into really nice soil conditions, and we've got very adequate to almost excess subsoil moisture in the production area. So now we're just watching Mother Nature, but I think we have a really good start. The next production area that I'll talk about is Canada. And they've had roughly 180,000 hectares last season. I think we'll be down to around 120,000 hectares, so down a third. I also have lowered the yield because they're having the third year of drought conditions, particularly in southern Alberta and southwest Saskatchewan, which is where the chickpea production area is centered. They do have a significant carry-in. So they've been a significant volume of U.S. chickpeas moving into Canada, about 30,000 tons a year of cross-border trade. So ending up with 315,000 tons of stocks, where we were dealing with around 330,000 tons last year. So down slightly, but very similar. I've again said that we'd grow our exports out of North America. It's questionable whether that'll actually happen or not, but I'm a salesman, so I did it again. Push those numbers. Ending stocks of around 80,000, 82,000 ton is what I've projected. So now let's move to Argentina and take it away.
Okay, thanks, Dirk and GBC for the invitation. Well, just a small review, going back to 2017, Argentina exported its record crop. It was a crop of about 178,000 metric tons that were traded to more than 20 different countries. After 5 continuous growth years, Argentina stabilized in a reliable origin, so we were very happy with that. Then last year, Argentina planted a similar area than 2017, and well, due to some bad weather conditions, up to now, Argentina just exported 63,000 metric tons, and we have a carryover of about 35,000 tons. That carryover, you can say 50% of that is a number 2 quality that will be traded, is being traded over sample approvals. And the balance is between the feeding market or maybe, well, India right now is kind of active in for the flour industry, for milling, and for the Chana dal. Desi chickpeas are kind of high right now in the domestic market, so we are seeing some room to trade our balance stocks there. Right now, the new crop is being planted. You can say 90% is in the ground. The north area is a little bit delayed due to the delay on the harvest of the corn and the soybeans, but we have good subsoil moisture, so we are expecting to have a decent crop. Of course, we planted less. It's around 33% less, so we are expecting this to correct some on the supply and demand. Well, the main buyer, as I was telling you, is India right now, with some volumes, and we are seeing in a positive way that the food ingredient industry is requiring some special goods for this aim. So we are expecting that this in the next years continues growing, and as I said, Argentina is getting year by year as a reliable origin, and we are very confident of our production. Well, that's a resume of what's the situation right now.
Thank you very much, Matias. So, Albert, we threw some information in there about the production in the what are normally we consider to be, targeted customers for almost all of us. But I know last year we saw a number of my customers saying they were using domestically produced product. So tell us a little bit about what's going on at least in Southern Europe.
Good afternoon, colleagues of GPC. Thanks for inviting us. I will focus my comments on the Western Europe. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about Eastern Europe. So I will focus in Spain, France, and Italy, which traditionally has been being net importers of the chickpeas. However, due to the really attractive prices of 2017, we saw a huge increase on the production areas. So Spain in particularly in 2018, they mainly doubled the production to nearly 75,000 tons. And the estimation for this year is more or less half of it. So we are returning back to the average production. France, however, we have seen gradually increase on the production. And in 2018, this increase of 25,000 metric tons total is because they have increased the areas to center and north of the country, while traditionally they have been planting in the south. And Italy, we don't have accurate data, but our Italian colleagues agree with me that they have approximately a production of 10,000 metric tons, and this year they will be slightly down. So I want to point out that the production mainly is on small sizes, 7 and 8 millimeters, and in case of Spain in particular, we need big sizes, the 12 millimeters, which are mainly imported from Mexico due to their quality. And we also import the 10 millimeters from US. So this usually goes for the packaging industry, and we don't have enough product. Actually, we don't produce the big sizes in Spain, so we depend on the imports. So regarding to that, I want to make a comment on the Airbus-Boeing arbitration, which is taking place between the US and Europe. And Randy, representing GPC, and Pedro Luengo, representing the Spanish Association, they've done a very huge and important job going to Brussels to make some allegations to tell Europe how important the imports of chickpeas from US are. And we will have to be watching very carefully the resolution of this after summer, because it can affect a lot the imports from US. On the other side, there is an opportunity for the other countries, though. Okay. So thank you very much, and any questions you have, we are here to answer. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Albert. So now we will, well, we didn't get this in here. I thought we had an updated slide, but I'm going to have Andac discuss the production in the Turkish origin, and then we will roll to Bilal, and he will discuss Pakistan, and I want both of them to touch on the Black Sea region and what's happening with the production in that area, and general comments. So, Andac, if you would
Sure. Can I
give
take
us
the
a
pointer?
review.
Can I take the pointer? Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, they did get it. All right.
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. I would like to give some insights from the Turkish Kabuli market. and I'm from the Nature company and fourth generation in the business. So I would like to start from the export data, which is taken from the export union. And why I start with export data? Because Turkey become importer country to exporter company. And this is only for the 2018 crop, which is from 1st of June to up to today. Turkey did export 143,000 metric ton. And top 3 countries are Pakistan, Iraq, and Iran. Turkey did approximately 27,000 metric ton export to Pakistan. And then secondly, Iran, 21,000 metric ton. And then Iraq. And the other countries comes Algeria, Jordan, and Israel. And this is the calendar year, 2018, what Turkey did import. So approximately 90,000 metric ton Turkey did the import, and the main countries are Argentina, Mexico, and India. Approximately Turkey did import 21,000 metric ton from Argentina, and secondly Mexico and India. And this for January to the 31st of December. But when we see the data, after 1st of June, there is no import done from Turkey, almost like 2,500 metric ton up to today, from 1st of June to today. And this is why, because Turkish government waived the tax redemption. So if you want to do any import, we have to pay like 21% tax for chickpeas importation. And that's why the numbers are very small for 2019. There is almost no import done after 1st of June 2018 to up to today. And this is this production area, a map of Turkey from Turkish Statistic Institution, and this shows main production areas. However, this production areas is changed in yearly, and right now the main production areas is center of Turkey, like Yozgat, Kırıkkale, Ankara, Konya, those region, and southeast part of Turkey, Adıyaman and Gaziantep. It's changed in years. And I would like to talk about what is stocks left in Turkey. We have representative also from TMO, and according to their data, we have like 51,000 metric ton left in those cities up to now. But there was a tender, 40,000 metric ton, for export purposes, which is only foreign companies can attend. So which means that stocks should be around 10,000 metric ton, and private sector should be 10 to 15,000 metric ton, which is like 20,000 metric ton. But the tender is cancelled newly, so we have those stocks still in Turkey. So approximately 60 to 65,000 metric tons still left in Turkish market. And harvesting time just started, beginning of June, and it ends end of August. And according to Turkish statistics, it shows 16% increase on production, and approximately 620, these are formal numbers, official numbers, 625,000 metric ton to 725,000 metric ton, which I do not agree in some points. I think Turkish production, according to my investigation and my research with farmers, exporters, and lots of companies locally, Turkish production is 400,000 to 450,000 metric ton. And this year it will be, I think, approximately 10% more production area. But it really depends on the efficiency. According to the news which I got from the Adıyaman and Gaziantep region, which starts the harvesting, approximately 10% less. But we do not know about the efficiency in the central heart of Turkey, what's going to be happen. And we have, after like 25 years later, TMO, Turkish Grain Board, started to purchase 25 years later chickpeas. And you can see last year price was from Turkish Grain Board 3,250 Turkish lira, and this year they announced 3,300 Turkish lira. And you can see the currency differences from last year to this year. It was 4.56 last year, and this year 5.81. This is the June 7th data. Today it come down to 5.75. Right now it should be around 581. So the prices are around 715, come down to 715 to 565. And when we come 715 to 565. But these prices are really depends on the efficiency, which we do not know, and it can change in these days during the harvesting time. Also, the currency is really depends on this, because 2 weeks back, the currency was 6.2, and we have some political issues in Turkey due to the S-400 defense system, and we have political issues between Russia, US government, and Turkey. So if the currency going up to 6.2, the price can come down, and if it seems we have a good relationship right now with Turkey, with US, so the currency come down more, the price can go up. So there is like two main decision maker on this. The first one, the currency, and the second one is efficiency, which we will have better idea next days. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dirk, before you continue, let me just remind everybody here, you can ask questions via the mobile app. So as they're talking, please start thinking of your questions and entering them online.
All right. So Bilal, please give us your insight on the Pakistan market.
Yeah.
It's working? Perfect. So I'll just briefly talk about Pakistan and then give production and production figures of Black Sea, Russia, and Ukraine. So Pakistan primarily is an import-dependent market when it comes to Kabuli chickpeas. We produce 50,000 tons of our own chickpeas in Pakistan, most of which is smaller count Kabuli, and our total consumption of Kabuli chickpeas is close to 250,000 tons. So we import approximately 200,000 tons from different origins. For bigger count Kabulis, for bigger size Kabulis, we rely on the US, Canada, Argentina, Mexico, and a few other countries. And for smaller sized Kabulis, we rely on Russia, Sudan, Myanmar, Turkey, and a few other regions. In the past, Pakistan used to import a lot of bigger count Kabuli chickpeas from India, but because of government import restriction from Pakistan side, we have been unable to do so, which has given rise to a lot of Kabuli chickpeas import into Pakistan from Russia for the smaller count, and from Turkey for 8 mm for the most part. A year ago, Pakistan was importing 25 to 30,000 tons of Russian chickpeas, and this year Pakistan is on track to importing 75,000 tons of Russian chickpeas. Why is that? Because Russian chickpeas, the prices are really cheap. The CNF offers, for the most part, have been close to $400 range, which has also found other uses of smaller count Kabuli chickpeas into Pakistan. Kabuli was always consumed, 90% of the Kabuli was always consumed as whole in Pakistan, but now just because of cheaper offers and our desi chickpea crop not being that good, the Russian Kabuli chickpeas is also being used into the split market, which has really allowed us to import a lot more than we typically do. And then apart from that, Russia this year has become our biggest, Russia has become the biggest Russian Kabuli has been imported in the biggest amount into Pakistan. And I'll just give figures of production of Russian chickpeas. Russia last year produced 300 to 350,000 tons of Kabuli chickpeas. And this year, just because the prices are so low, they're expecting the production to fall by 30%. But if the yields are good, then it's still going to be less than last year, but at least it's going to be less by 20% compared to last year. Ukraine production numbers are negligible in the amount of 40 to 60,000 metric tons, and they're expecting the production to go down as well, just because the prices for Kabulis have been so low, and the farmers have other substitutes that they could plant. I'll hand it back to Dirk now. And if you have any questions regarding Pakistan, feel free to put it up on the app. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Bilal. So I think now we will throw it open to questions and figure out how this electronic thing works. So, Eleazar, they're looking for your planted acre numbers. I think we had them, but do it again.
I think Mexico is going to be at least 50% lower or more. As I explained, corn is better profit for the farmer. Beans are better profit for the farmer. Right now, the farmer is a losing crop, the chickpeas, and it's not in the government support. So I can expect at least 50% or even higher.
Okay. And Bilal, the question is, if you guys can, I guess you can see them also,
Yeah.
but what's the import going to be?
Pakistan typically imports approximately 200,000 tons of Kabuli chickpeas. I think it's going to be between 175 to 225,000 metric tons, depending on where the prices are. If the global production levels go down and the prices go up, then we might see import being closer to 175,000 tons. Which origin will lead the most? It really is a matter of price. But from what has been happening in the past 3 to 6 months, I believe it's going to be from Russia. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to let these two guys answer the next one. I would say that the data that we put up there was our projections for 19, but in the case of Mexico, they're already in the bin, right?
So the first one?
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, the data shown from India and Mexico, yes, it's 2019, but we are taking the data up to the May, but it should be estimates like we will end up with the less export. That's why we have a proper presentation. If you want, it is on the it's by state by state. It's on the GPC website, so you can down. Yes, it's 2019 data. Then again, my question from Navneet: what duration they count for? Yes, when we are counting the chickpeas, Kabulis, we are always taking from Feb to Jan. I mean, we are saying that this is the year when we have start harvesting. In Feb to January, it's always we are doing for the Kabulis. Bilal, can you explain why this year the demands for lower blacks is stronger? Okay.
Sure.
The demands for the small I mean, it's a question from Jem. Jem, the demands of smaller sizes in India and Mexico. You know, India is having the import against export license, so India imported, that's why the India imported Russian chickpeas. And because the prices is so low, even in this price, in local, they did not find the desi chickpeas. So that's why the buying is very high for the Russian and Black Sea origin. Thank you.
All right.
And I'll just add for Pakistan in that question. Typically, Pakistan produces 6 to 700,000 tons of desi chickpeas, but for the past year, our production have been down to 300 to 400,000 tons. And in the past years, we've been importing desi chickpeas from Australia and Tanzania to fulfill the shortage in the local production. But this year, or for the past 1 year, the prices of desi chickpeas has been in the range of $550 to $600, and the prices for Russian Kabuli chickpeas has been in the range of $400. And then if you talk about lower grade chickpeas, then the prices are $325 to $375 dollars per ton. So I think the demand for lower grade has gone up because desi chickpeas price is pretty high compared to this, and also the fact that the split of Russian chickpeas can be used as a substitute of chana dal.
Thank you. So, Matias, I think that, why don't you dive into the currency discussion and what are the main things that you see impacting not only the grower, but the industry in Argentina?
Well, of course that the devaluation for us helped in some way, but we have a lot of costs are in dollars, and we have a very high inflation that is around 45%. But the main concern is the export taxes that we are paying around 9% on the FOB prices. And this is supposed to be ended by the end of 2020, so that will help. But well, on October we have elections, so we'll see who takes the leading on this.
All right, thank you. So, Eleazar, how about your commentary?
Try to figure what is going to be the currency in Mexico is always a challenge. But the good thing is the trade war between Trump and Mexico is supposed to be settled. And the currency, a couple of years ago, it was 22. Today we are hitting 1920, so it's getting a little bit stronger. In the meantime, sometimes we can hit 3% up, 3% down. But I think it's always a challenge to try to determine what is going to be the currency exchange. And in the other thing, what it can happen on the climate is always, we are seeing many crops that at the end of the crop everything looks fine, and in the last 2 weeks we fall apart, all the crop, the quality is not good, the yield is not good. And sometimes when we think the crop is lost, sometimes we can get some better yield than what is expected. So it's difficult also to gamble on the climate. But also on the situation, the relation between Trump and Europe, obviously if there is any trade war or duty on the chickpeas into Europe, like beans, then I think there is a big opportunity for Mexico to send more chickpeas into Europe.
Great. So, I mean, the next question, I think it really applies whether it's India, Mexico, Argentina, the U.S., Canada, Turkey. What are the competing crops that you guys are seeing with the acreage reduction that we're having in most of these areas? What are they planting and why? Is it better returns? Is it changing rotation? We saw in the U.S. this year with the reduction in chickpea acres and also lentil acres, they went to spring wheat. And so we've got a lot of an increase in planted acres of wheat in that Pacific Northwest area. What happened in your areas?
Well, in Argentina, the chickpeas mainly compete with wheat. It's a winter crop, so if the wheat price is high, probably farmers with this level prices will switch strongly to the wheat. But who knows what's going to happen with Trump and all these things.
All of the tweets? No. So, in your area, Navneet, what other crop would replace chickpeas?
In our area, like as we compared from last year, it is down. It's a normal reduction. but we have the fixed area. I think even if the prices of this year, I mean, the farmers supposed to see maybe 10% less. So it's because the normal crop of India, even if it is the prices is this type, and it should be always around 350 to 400,000 tons. So I think with these prices also, I think we can keep this number.
Okay.
I think it's, we did not going to, but
So Eleazar, you had talked about in our earlier conversation about return on other crops. Some of them sounded pretty amazing.
In Mexico, on the chickpeas, we got two types of land. One is the dry land. The dry land is going to compete with the sesame seed, that right now, with the prices of sesame seed, is very hard to compete. And in the irrigated land, it's going to compete with corn and beans. That both crop are making double money than chickpeas.
Okay. So, you know, high prices lead to, you know, acreage reduction or increases in planting, and low prices, we balance it out. It sometimes takes a couple seasons to get things turned around, but I think we've seen the beginnings of the acreage reduction in most of the production areas, and I think we'll work our way through. Let's see. So the next question there, what percentage of the crop would be 42, 44s? Navneet, any idea?
yes, I mean, if we are comparing the carryover of last year, it should be around 40,000 tons. And this year, when we are saying the crop is 400,000 tons, so we can say around 180, 150,000 tons should be the bigger count. But this thing is more interesting because the smaller counts is consuming in the low domestic market, and exports is very low. So we have, this year is very different. We have a huge stocks of the bigger calibers compared to small caliber this year. And we are end with the carryover in the bigger sizes this year, which is something new from last 6 or 7 years.
Right. You want to hit that $780, $800 one?
No, it is, I don't want to talk about the prices, but I just want to say one thing, that yes, 2019 is again, when we see all the presentation, we see the carry-in is high in 2019, but we see every crop is getting less by 30 to 40%. So I believe the turning point of the market is the seeding intentions in India and Mexico, and this is the turning point. And I think 2019 is again a price where we can see a little bit ups and downs, but I think 2020 we will see a different scenario for chickpeas, because we see the price production are going less, and the stocks is going less everywhere.
Okay.
Dirk,
There's
excuse
one
me.
question down here that talks about, you know, when do we think we'll get back to historical pricing? I mean, the positive thing is, I think every one of our markets we've seen increased demand as far as in our domestic markets and in the export side, but we've got a lot of tonnage to deal with. So my projection would be we're probably going to be fairly flat in values, and it may take us 18 months to work our way through, but all it takes is Mother Nature to throw us one curveball, and that all changes.
Sorry, Dirk, let me add something to what we were discussing about the prices. The main players of big size chickpeas have traditionally been Turkey, Spain, and Algeria. And we've seen them very, very, very quiet from their buying. I want to say that they have big stocks, and this is, from my view, the reason why they have not been buying. So with these low prices, we have been no sales on the books or very low sales. So I would say we can be very close to the rock bottom. So I would encourage people to start thinking about starting to make some operations because, in my opinion, as soon as these three players come again to the market, the prices will jump sharply.
Yeah, it's coming.
Dirk, also, I want to comment that what if the Mexican farmers are happy with prices? Of course not. Farmers are really upset with the price. Basically, all the crop are on the beans right now. It's not on the farmer side. It's not on the farmer's hand, and we already paid the crop to the farmers at very low prices, and that's why I think that next year is going to change. It's going to be a change. Right. And regarding I got a question for all the panelists here. What do you think is a downside and an upside for your origin? What is the upside and downside potential for each origin?
Okay, what I'm thinking is the market is bottom out in every origin. It's my idea. And as far as I said, that turning point will be the seeding intentions we will see in October, November. And that is the main turning point of the market. If the seeding is the same, after that also I think the market is bottom out in every origin.
And I will go for, there is a question first, it depends on also the prices. Where was the 40,000 metric ton tender going to be? It will go for export purposes because TMO is trying to settle the market and they are giving minimum settlement price, 3.3. So we know what is the bottom. It's gonna be happen. And depends on the Trump and Forex. So it can, it can change politically. So the price we have like 3,300 Turkish lira, which means right now 565. So it can come down to 535 due to the currency, which we don't know yet. And going up because of government try to stabilize the market and continue the production and protect the farmer. So the production area is higher this year. So it will not go up such a huge level. So it may go up like 10%, 565. It can come to $600 levels. Depends on the currency a lot. But we have no clue about the currency because there is a plan to, Trump will come to the Turkey. So the price can come down. And if we buy the S-400 Russian rockets, the price jump. We don't know yet.
Okay.
For Pakistan, although it's mostly import dependent, but I agree with Navneet that prices have bottomed out. But if I were to, just put it out there, I think the lowest it can go from this level would be down another $25 per ton, and upwards, I feel that it can move up another $50 per ton. And I'm talking about like 3 to 4 months time horizon, not longer than that.
Okay.
From the side of Argentina, I think that there's not much room. I mean, farmers right now are losing money. If we don't have an exceptional yields and quality that can compete maybe for the current stocks on small calibers, at these levels, we are losing money. So if we are doing let's say a sale for new cargo on October, November shipment, maybe $20 less, not more than that. So an average, we need to get like at least 1.8, 2 tons per hectare at these level prices with good quality, with no waste, to have some profit. So
right.
There's not much room.
I would say on the U.S. and Canadian side that well, a lot of the downside pressure that you saw this last year was not from the farmer. There was a lot of ownership within the industry that was bought a year ago, when it went in the ground. And so a number of the growers really have not seen that financial impact of values where they are today. And I'll say that there were contracts offered this spring reflecting, current values, and there were very few contracts written. And the guys that can afford it have locked their bins. And so I don't see a lot of downside. unless, you know, this thing persists for a long time, because they are getting pretty good cash flow out of their cereal grains, and they've locked the bin and said, well, I'm going to roll the dice, and maybe there'll be a weather event somewhere.
For Mexico, in the small sizes, I don't think there is a downside. We are trading lower than United States, and basically United States is run out of Sierra type, that it goes to Europe, and they prefer to compete with the Mexican quality. And on the bigger size, I don't think also either is going to be a downside. I think we hit the bottom, and from here to the future, I think price is going to start to increase, and all depend how is the other crops coming out from United States, Argentina, and Spain, and also for the demand. And for the jumbo sizes, like 38, 36, or 34, 36, or bigger calibers, Mexico basically do not have those kind of sizes, so I think those are gonna start moving faster than the other ones.
All right. Well, we're down to about 5 minutes left, I think, and let me see if we have any more pressing questions here. Anybody want to give Black Sea sellers some advice?
It looks like a question from one of my friends. Advice to keep their stocks. I think I'll just still answer it. I think Pakistan is gonna keep importing 8 to 10,000 tons of Black Sea chickpeas a month, and that is more than enough for our local demand, because a lot of it is going in the splits market, because our Desi chickpea crop was weak, and Desi chickpeas import price is a lot more than the Black Sea Kabuli chickpeas. So you just have to keep in mind that maximum 10,000 metric tons a month is Pakistan's capacity going forward, and also follow the Desi chickpeas price out of Tanzania and Australia. If Tanzania prices the Desi chickpeas lower or close to $450 or $500, and Australia prices for Desi chickpeas fall, then it could be a substitution towards Desi chickpeas from the Black Sea Kabuli chickpeas. So that would be my advice.
So the question especially for Pakistan. So what I mean to say, see how is the demands in the Pakistan that this questions come. So there is a demands, and I just want to say the market is bottom out. So this question, I mean, mentioning that how is Pakistan is aggressive to buy at these prices from Russia and Ukraine.
And also I would just like to add that today the price for Russian and Ukraine Kabuli offers are at $415 to $420 CNF Karachi, depending on the quality, but our local market today is actually $460 per ton. And having imported approximately 75,000 tons from Black Sea alone, that shows you that demand is there, and it's been consistent demand for the past 12 months.
So for Mexico, what will happen with the high-priced Kabuli stocks still stored in Mexico? I think it's up to the company who had those kind of stocks. Last year, we paid really high prices to the farmer. There is some companies that still got carryovers at very high prices. It's up to them to take the loss today, or just wait or hold the product. But if they didn't sold at 1,200, that when they got the opportunity, I don't think they're going to sell at 900 right now.
All right. And then I'll say down on the bottom on the pet food question, the pet food industry in North America is very interesting in that some guys are using byproducts, splits and chips and small caliber, and other pet food manufacturers have some of the tightest food quality, safety assurance standards. It's like selling to a high-end human consumption customer. And So we see a range of products that are moving into that pet food industry, and it continues to grow. But I think that, you know, the other area of very rapid growth in the U.S. market continues to be the hummus consumption, and we're seeing almost all of our small caliber chickpeas move into that market, and we're not exporting hardly any of the small caliber, and I'd say that the carryover that we're going to have is mainly the mid-range sizes. They're not 9s, but they're not 6s either. It's in that 7 to 8.5 millimeter range where the carryover will be. All right, well, we are within the last minute. I want to really thank our panelists. I know that at the break and probably at the local watering hole, they'll all be available for you to ask more questions that you didn't get on the screen or we weren't able to react to. So thank you guys, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep. And thank you for the audience's participation.
Thank you, Dirk. Thank you, panelists. Great job.
Obrigado.
Thanks, Dirk.
Thank you.